tell me how you felt about? I don't.
About the what?
I don't know. It's kind of. Is it? I don't want to spoil anything.
You don't want to spoil
Mandalorian.
Oh, Mandalorian.
Finale. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, we're plenty. I mean, anybody that hasn't watched it
they're
yet.
like, oh, don't tell me yet. But okay, everybody who's listening.
I think we're giving people plenty of warning here.
We're about to talk about the finale of
Mandalorian season 2.
Right. Yeah. So when Jabba the Hutt rises from the dead,
that was so weird.
Okay, that's your final warning. That actually didn't happen. But if you're still listening, let's say I don't care anymore if we get spoiled.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah, go get it. If you haven't watched it yet, what are you doing listening to this? Go watch that.
Right.
Then come back and listen to this.
Or at least watch The Godfather.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil that either.
I know. Too late.
But The Godfather dies.
and the tough guy ends up with a knife in his hand.
And a garrote around his head.
Don't know with that word again. So, how did you feel? Did we already talk about it today? How did you feel about the? I don't know whether that was a CGI or deep fake.
I thought that was terrible.
Oh, really?
I really did. I did not like it. It really took me out. And the thing is that they really try to rely a bit too much on the replacing the entire face with a CGI face.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they can't, and it's not so much that like if he didn't say anything, I think it would have been a lot better. As soon as they start trying to move the mouth, that's when it kind of breaks down for me. Because that was the problem with the Princess Leia.
Yep.
Is as soon as she starts talking, and it's the problem with Flynn in Clue in Tron Legacy when they de-age Jeff Bridges for the Clue character. Again, looks great until he talks, and then it just goes right down the toilet. But the problem is, and I really don't understand why they do this. I don't know if it's a pride thing or what, but they've got deep fake apps for your phone
that do a better job.
Yeah. Than that. And I don't understand why they don't do that. Why they don't use that technology to create this effect.
They could have actually gotten Mark Hamill to stand in.
Yeah, I mean they did get his voice.
No, but I mean to do the facial expressions and everything. Like they could have actually.
Yeah.
They could have taken you film this dude. Okay, and then you take a picture of the young Luke Skywalker, and you use that. And by picture, what they would have as a picture would be so much more sophisticated, right? But you use that as I'm going to replace this guy's face with this, right? Like it would, or something. I mean, I'm obviously oversimplifying this, but or just find somebody who has the same proportions as the young Mark Hamill.
Have you seen Sebastian Stan dressed up like Mark Hamill?
I don't know who
Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier.
No, I haven't. No.
He is the spitting image. Now, I don't think he's actually dressed up as him, but people have made him and put like Hamill's hair on him. And that's like the only thing they did to him, really. And he looks fantastic. Now, I know he's in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and so he's got a job.
But all I had to do was I put Sebastian Stan as, and Luke Skywalker came up.
Yeah, exactly, because he's now when you've only seen him as Winter Soldier, it's a little hard to see because you got the long black hair, and so you're like, I don't know. But then when you just replace his hair with Mark Hamill's hair, you're like, ooh, that looks really good. And see, I don't mind that. If we're going to recast, I mean, if we're going to put this in a position where we can't possibly use Mark Hamill, then there's no other alternative, and this CGI thing is kind of not good. So it's a matter of,
I'm looking at pictures right now. I think it would work. I think
practicality.
And Mark Hamill would be all for it. Actually.
Yeah, I'm sure he would love it, and he probably would still. He could still like loop his voice if they really, really wanted him to do that.
If they needed to.
But yeah, I think Stan would look amazing. It's like they really should have cast Charles Dance as Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, because having a CGI person walking around it's just, it stands out. Now, if they were going to keep that very minimal and just have him kind of show up a little bit, but he was like a supporting character. He was everywhere and he was talking a lot. And it just,
let's just put it this way. I did enjoy what they did in the finale. I thought it looked brilliant. I think you're right. I think you're right that it kind of like, I don't want to say it fell apart with the speak, but you could tell it wasn't like, first of all, we all know it's CGI. So like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
That doesn't help. Like when you know the person's either dead or a lot older than, like, that doesn't help.
And that's the other thing, is that's on a show where so many things are practical. So many effects on that show are practical and real and there. And the one CGI face guy, you know, in that regard, completely stands out.
In the entire
right, exactly. And it is the secret you've been keeping for 2 years that you're going to have this guy in here.
but that all that being said, I like welled up.
Oh man!
Like I almost lost my stuff.
At what point did you know that was Luke?
Well, I had when the X-wing flies in.
Yeah, as soon as a single X-wing showed up,
and they had been teasing us with these X-wings throughout this.
That's true.
Particular season.
Those two guys.
And you're thinking like, okay, well, maybe it's that dude coming to rescue them again, like he did from the spider things, or like maybe could be. And then I thought, well, maybe could it be Ahsoka? Like does she have an X-wing?
I thought that wouldn't have been. That wouldn't have made sense.
Right?
I don't think. Yeah.
But then when you see him fighting, there was something about the fighting which we never saw Luke fight like that.
No,
but
we never get anything like that.
The way he was wielding the lightsaber was kind of classic Luke. It was not
right.
It wasn't like that
style.
Super fast, like crazy stuff that you see
in the prequels.
It was kind of more like two-handed,
very choppy,
kind of,
very sort of broadsword kind of thing. Yeah.
And I don't know. And then you see the glove.
Yeah.
You see there's that shot from behind.
I think as soon as you see the green blade, there's
that
really
too,
no question anymore. But I mean, with Filoni's involvement with this show, and I say involvement, I mean, the Filoni is the show as much as Favreau is, and him coming from doing Clone Wars and Rebels and all that stuff, you know, I was thinking, I knew that Grogu reached out and touched some Jedi somewhere, because I mean, there'd be no. It was like, nah, I didn't get an answer. That would have been anticlimactic and stupid. So it had to be somebody was going to come and get it, and it couldn't have been Ahsoka, because Ahsoka has already said, no, I'm not doing it. You go and do the thing, and then there would be no point to go over there, do the thing, touch me, and then I'll come and do it.
Right.
But so I was like, I don't know. It may be one of those people from one of the cartoons or something. Showing up, and I know that there are a couple of people that are like not accounted for, a couple of Jedi types that are still out there apparently. But as soon as the single X-wing showed up, I was like, yeah, it's Luke, and we knew it could be, you know, because we were like speculating who's out there right now. Well, Luke is out there right now.
We know he likes to hang out in that part of the galaxy,
and that would be the biggest friggin' amazing thing ever. So why wouldn't they do that?
And who else could you be, from a story standpoint, who else would you be comfortable with Grogu leaving with? Like he's leaving Mando, so you're already like, oh, wait a second, what?
And it would have to be somebody that everybody knows and
trusts, and I mean, the problem is now.
Yeah, Grogu was a very big part of this show.
Well, and Grogu is not a big part of Force Awakens.
Right. And so that's a problem.
Maybe he's on Dagobah in hiding. Maybe Luke maybe he survived this slaughter.
Maybe he gets trained
get
up.
Get thee to a Dagobah.
Right. Well, the as I understand it, we get a little bit of history about when he starts training Ben Solo, and he trains him after his like 10th birthday or something like that. So he doesn't. it's apparently pointed out in one of these sort of comics that's supposed to take you between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, that Ben is his first, like, he goes out and he's researching and trying to find artifacts and things like that, and he doesn't take on an apprentice until Ben Solo, supposedly.
Well, except for Grogu.
So that, well, exactly. And so that puts us, at least, I don't know how quickly
I have another theory.
Han and Leia get married and have a kid, but we've got at least 10 years from when we see him in Mandalorian to before he starts training this guy. Maybe he trains Grogu for those 10 years. There is again, this comes from like a book, but we find out that Yoda was a Jedi Master when he was 100. So if Grogu's 50, I guess 51, I suppose, by the time he leaves. If between 50 and 100 you can get Jedi, you can go from baby to Jedi Master in that 50 years, even though you went from born to still pretty much a baby in the first 50 years. So I'm assuming the development gets a lot faster in those other. So he may know enough to get him, I don't know, feeling pretty cocky and going off on his own. I don't know. Maybe that happened.
Or maybe it's a different timeline.
Well, that's been. I watched a YouTube video about that. You talked about that on I think we talked about it on the Down the Doughnut Hole episode. But I learned a bit more about the world between worlds that you were talking about, and there's other evidence that this might be the case from Rebels and the Clone Wars, apparently.
Well, and also because politically, the civil war that's happening inside of Lucasfilm would also indicate that this is a way out.
Yeah, there's that too. But they apparently, in one of the episodes, there is a point where in the portal or whatever that is, Stargate, that, I don't know, the guy that's got the staple gun as a lightsaber, he sees Ahsoka while she's fighting Vader. And he reaches through the portal and pulls her in as Vader is swinging down and basically saves her. She was going to die.
That's in Rebels, I think, right?
I think so.
I think so. That's right.
Again, I saw kind of a quick overview of what's going on with this. And so that it's possible that is what split the timelines, and that the Mandalorian is taking place inside the universe where Ahsoka didn't die.
Right.
And Force Awakens and all of that is taking place inside the universe where Ahsoka did die, because Ahsoka's voice can be heard when
that's right.
Rey is calling on the voices of all of the Jedi ever.
That's right.
You can hear Ahsoka say something there. So the presumption is that she's dead at that point. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean there's a lot of time between.
Well, because you can also hear, because in the episode, I think in that Worlds Between Worlds or whatever episode in Rebels, I think you can hear Rey's voice.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's, from at that point the future. So not only not dead, but doesn't exist yet. So yeah. So I don't know. I think that would be. I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about that. I as much as I dislike what The Last Jedi did, I mean, we can get into that again about what the sequels.
I don't even
but The
love
Last
what they
Jedi
did with
took
Force
what
Awakens.
the Force Awakens set up and just threw it out the window. I can't really, in good conscience, not say that this is kind of doing the same thing.
Well, it is, except it's resetting, and I know I think it's different than like a retcon. I think this is a way of saying that stands on its own as its own. It's its own thing. Okay, right. For better or for worse, it's its own thing. But it's not the Star Wars timeline that you're familiar with.
Right. And see, that's the part that kind of bothers me. If the show was the alternate timeline, that would sit better with me than making Saga's episode 7, 8, and 9 an alternate timeline.
No, I don't think you...
Seems like those should be the ultimate canon. Even if I don't like what happened to them.
I so hate, even just Force Awakens, like when I think about... I didn't like... It was a fun movie, right? It's a good popcorn movie. It's fun enough,
I suppose.
But what I hated was that after everything that happened, after everything we put into the, like, loving these characters and believing what they were fighting for and all of that stuff and seeing people die for the cause and so forth, to see some years later, 30 years later, that basically we're back to where we started.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You remember those people who were the rebels and then they won, they beat the Empire, and then you assumed that they were going to establish like the
new republic,
right?
Yeah.
Remember that? Nope, they're the rebels still, or again, right?
And this
time they don't actually even have that many friends. Like,
even more powerful empire has showed up somehow. I don't know where they're getting their funding, but
and it's this first order, but it looks kind of like the Empire, and they dress like the Empire, and they act like the Empire, and the stormtroopers but it's not the Empire. The symbol's
practically the same.
It's actually the First Order.
First Order, right?
And so it just felt like okay, so basically we're just starting over.
You had the opportunity to tell a really good, unique, new story.
Right.
Take it in a different direction. It's the episodes. I get that. So there's going to have to be some stuff. It's got to be about the big fight or whatever that ends up looking like. And you got to have the John Williams score and all of that. Okay. But it doesn't have to be the Empire versus the Rebels anymore. The Rebels are now in charge, and now it's like the.
It actually would have been cooler to flip it. I think it would have been cooler to flip it, to have that.
And that's what Mandalorian is doing.
The dark side is actually rebelling against this thing that everybody thinks is wonderful and great, and we think it's wonderful and great too because we see our heroes at the top of it, or not even necessarily at the top, but at least like still revered, right?
Right, exactly.
And but there's this upstart group still led by Kylo, perhaps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where, like, oh wait, maybe they're onto something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's still balance to be achieved, and because it twists the knife a little bit to say, like, because I think it plays on current themes too, to say, like, in society, who is the rebel and who is, like, who's legitimate, who has the you
can play with that.
Life is messy. These things are messy, and of course, the side that you're on, you always think is the right side. And I think it would have been interesting to see the tale told from that perspective, especially as they do character development. You begin to actually start to kind of like the bad guy, which, it can be. Look at the Sopranos. Like, I mean, it's a whole thing. I was just disappointed. I would be happy to see them just like stick that off over there. It's a shame that's.
I would too. Yeah, I know. And the other thing that I thought, as soon as I heard that they were doing 7, 8, and 9, before I heard anything else about it, the thing I was hoping so much is that Episode 7 would be 100 years after Return of the Jedi. We ain't got nobody from the old movies. Let's see what the New Republic has done with their time in power.
That would be great. Yep.
And then that's about the time we start having maybe some cracks forming, or and just like you said, it's the new Jedi Order has been established, and I wanted them, like I said before, I wanted them to be something new, something that Luke realized that when he embraced the dark side as much as he embraced the light side. He didn't make a choice one or the other. He said, I'm going to squish them all together. I'm going to be a gray Jedi. And how he pretty much, dominated over the Sith by doing that. He starts to look at the Force a little differently, and this is how we're going to do it now. And maybe they're not even called Jedi anymore. Who knows? But it's a new thing. They aren't wearing the robes. They're not wearing, maybe they're a bit more, I don't know, conventional or something. And then you've got maybe the underworld aspect of this is now the big bad, and that maybe the Sith or somebody new. It doesn't have to be the Sith. You know, I mean, I think we've talked about this before, but I was really happy about Solo because here's going to be a Star Wars story that's going to be told, and we ain't got to see a single lightsaber. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't like the Jedi. I love the Jedi, but there's so much other stuff going on in this world that we can have a story or two that don't have anything to do with Jedi. Of course, that gets screwed up at the very end, but it was like, oh, of course. But that aspect of society might, maybe they're you know, maybe they resent the whole Jedi thing. Maybe the New Republic is starting to be get a little corruption going on in there, and maybe it's you know, from within things are going bad. Or whatever. I mean, you can tell a really good story, but I think that the thing that like I was on the team, the thing that caused our problems with these movies that kind of doomed them from the get-go is that we were trying to set it too close to the old movies and trying to make sure that Han Solo is in there and Luke Skywalker's in there and Chewbacca's in there, and we're going to bring all the guys back, all the people back.
They could have done that with flashbacks to fill in the gaps. They could have done that with like how do like, you know, little just kind of like, you know, like moments to like to show you like what happened. Maybe it's somebody dreaming. Maybe it's like, you know, something that happened in the past. They could have achieved that bridge, I think.
And maybe the guy that's in charge of the Jedi Order is, you know, Obi-Wan Skywalker or something. I don't know.
Right. Maybe Luke's still alive. Maybe Mark Hamill actually gets to play Luke because he's like 1,000 years old and he's figured out how to just extend his life or whatever. Maybe he's there as a Force ghost. He's just a Force ghost.
He found the Sith stuff, maybe. Ooh.
Maybe he's just a Force ghost, you know, which would be cool.
Could be.
I mean,
but yeah, it's a you know, we trying to anchor to those characters, and you know, it made it too tempting to do the fan service thing. Let's do, you know, the stuff where Han says, so where's the weakness? These things always have a weakness in them. Ha ha! You know, and all of these like goofy jokes that everybody like, yeah, they laughed at it, but it's kind of lame. It's
well,
I don't know.
I mean, I like J.J. Abrams. I like what he's done with other. But I love
I'm
Lost.
not particularly happy with what he did with Star Trek either, but we can talk about that later.
I was never. I'm not a huge Trek. I'm like a Trekkie. Like I love
I'm
Next
a ridiculous
Generation.
Trekkie.
I love Next Generation, and I've liked some of the other stuff, like Voyager. Like I've liked some of it. Mm-hmm. I'm not like. I don't remember all the different timelines and the thing. Like I don't remember all that stuff.
I'm not even worried about that.
But so I didn't really, and I'm not really, and was never a huge fan. I shouldn't even say huge. I was never really a fan of the original Star Trek as a kid.
That's still my favorite.
And so I wasn't wedded to those characters. I wasn't invested in those characters.
I am. I've been married to those characters now for 40 years.
We'll see, there you go. So I didn't really care what he did. I think that they picked the wrong. I think they picked the wrong writers and director for that movie.
And that's a shame because it was.
Having seen the Mandalorian,
Lawrence Kasdan that wrote it, right? I believe he wrote one of them, and Kasdan wrote Empire.
Yeah, but you're
and
still
he wrote
giving
a lot of great stuff, other stuff too, like Silverado and things like that.
You're still given a template to work with. You know, like this is.
Yeah, see, that was the problem. That even with a great writer, if you start with a kind of a goofy outline, you're still going to get a well-written goofy script.
I would love to know, and I think maybe it's out there. I don't know if it's officially out there, but what George Lucas intended. Now he can't work.
It would be interesting.
The man has no capacity to write.
Yeah, he really doesn't.
But his storyboarding
aren't exactly.
But I think his storyboarding is brilliant.
His outlining is good. Yeah.
So like, they really, I wish would have just gone with his vision, but had somebody more talented write it. Because
he has said this is totally different than what I had in mind. Mm-hmm. But I haven't heard what he had in mind.
I don't know either.
It's like did you ever read the it's out there, the original script for the third Alien movie? Are you fans of the first two Alien movies and then the other ones that they didn't make?
I'm not a fan of the ones they didn't make, but
3, 4. I heard there was those, but there's an Alien 3 out there by the same guy who did Alien 2, and that was what they were apparently. I don't know exactly the behind the scenes, but it's a genuinely well written and finished script for the third Alien movie, and it's good. It's really good, and it's the Sulaco makes it to an orbital base or something somewhere, and they find it and rescue it because it got blown off course or something, and then things happen, but aliens show up, but it's like it's not as contrived as 3, whereas like totally 3? An alien, the 3 that they actually didn't make, but whereas like no there's an alien in there. I don't know, just cause yes there was. No, they killed them all. No, they didn't. There was one left. Only one, and it got up to the queen didn't have her egg sac, but egg still was there and killed Newt and Hicks.
I need to go back and watch it again now. Actually,
there were 2 aliens, right? Because one of them was in Ripley and one of them got out and got in the dog.
Yeah.
But like the whole point, the whole heartwarming finale of Aliens is when Sigourney Weaver completely badasses out and goes in and gets Newt because, damn it, you're not taking my kid here. And it's a wonderful scene, and it's fantastic. And people that say that strong female characters don't exist, I point right there to Ellen Ripley. She's amazing. That's a fantastic character. I love that character to death. Goes in, gets Newt, kills everything, comes back up to the ship. Get away from her, you bitch. Fantastic, wonderful. In just the credits, in the opening credits of Alien 3, we completely undo all of that. We kill Hicks and Newt. Like, never mind. And then they get like Force Awakens or something.
It's like Force Awakens. Like, God, never, all that stuff we did. Turns out it didn't matter.
Completely over with.
Didn't really matter. Yeah.
Not a thing.
Yep. Luke could have gone into hiding back even before Return of the Jedi, and
that's all that stuff you
Han could have
just
he would have better off just in carbonite, frankly.
Yeah, pretty much. Because for some reason he just goes back to smuggling. You guys won. You were a general. What in the heck? Oh, Lord.
He's like a dog with he just catches a scent. Gotta go. What's that line in Impressions de France? Baudelaire's. I don't remember. I can't say it in French, but the gist of it is it's the balloon scene. Is the hot air balloons, and it's like they no one knows why, but they.
Oh yeah.
They go. They go without.
They say, "I must go."
Yes, that's right.
That was on. Let's see.
Baudelaire.
I won against incredible odds. I have all of the medals in the world, even though Chewbacca doesn't have any.
I got a messed up kid.
And so my kid, and yeah, we can get into Luke too. That thought that Darth Vader had enough good in him to risk his life trying to get him to turn back to the good side, but he gets a weird feeling about Ben Solo, and we have to murder him. But jeez. But anyway, Han is like, "Oh, my kid
but I didn't do it. I changed my mind. Right at the last minute. I changed my mind.
I popped this sucker.
I had it open. I had it lit.
I admit.
I was just seeing where I was going. I
probably
couldn't see.
woke you up with that.
It was very dark. I couldn't see where I was going. I wanted to make sure you were okay.
In retrospect, I know it looked bad.
Typically, when you make up in the middle of the night, and anyone, forget if even it's your sensei or something, but if someone's standing over you holding a battle sword,
right?
That's typically a clue They weren't just checking on you.
Right. And it's a sword that has to be turned on in order to kill people with. And it's turned on.
Right. I mean, at least, Luke, like fake it like you were killing one of those little like robot slug things.
Or yeah,
like, remember when Padme, do you remember like, yes, fine, got it. He should have been like, God, got it.
It's like, boy, have these things been bugging you?
You
like
were
been bugging me.
You were in danger.
This is... I was trying to get a bug.
You ever seen Caveman? The movie Caveman?
No, I have not. Now we're talking about from like the 70s or something, right?
Yeah, like 80s.
I remember hearing about
Ringo Starr and Dennis Quaid and Shelley Long. And dude, you've got to see this movie.
I have always heard about it.
But there's this scene where there's this guy sleeping and this fly, but it's like a giant fly comes and lands on this guy's face. And it's like its wings are like, and this guy comes over like he's gonna kill it or knock it off or something, and he like smashes it, and then he like smushes like all the like the fly juice just like like, and he's like all happy like, got it, I got rid of it. And this guy's like, it could have been like that. It could have been like there was this giant fly in here. I saved you. You're welcome. You never thank me.
The thing I like about it too is that the film tries to do this Rashomon thing, where where you hear Luke's version of it, and Luke was like, naps, and he's fine. It's like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. And then Kylo's version is like, But the thing is that like Kylo is portraying it as though it was a total betrayal and all of that. And Luke was like, yeah, I thought about it, but I decided better of it, and it was going to be fine. But it was too late when he had already seen me and assumed the worst. As though that's giving us two different perspectives of why Kylo murdered all of the people in the Jedi Temple. They both end the same way. Like, with Kylo being extremely evil. So what the hell? Why is that two perspectives, All we're doing is showing that Luke was absolutely right.
I know, like Kylo, like, dude, wait a second, but so you're saying you wouldn't have done any of that,
right?
Had you not woken up to this, like,
yeah, that's what it took.
Possibly be that Luke maybe foresaw, like he maybe saw in the future that you were going to kill everybody. No, that can't be it.
Maybe that, yeah, you hurt my feelings. So I murdered everyone. See, that's not
including
ambiguous.
My dad.
Yeah.
including my mom.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a fun Star Wars episode.
I guess I spoke too soon when I said it wasn't enough to split into its own thing. Because here we are again, folks.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you indulging me in my question about what exactly happened between.
But that's what I mean when I say show don't tell on Luca Brasi.
Yes.
All of that. That's what I'm talking about.
Kids, go watch The Godfather.
Yes. Watch it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You're never too young for The Godfather.
Never too old.
Never too old either.
Mm-hmm.
True.
I think you could be too young for The Godfather.
Nah. Good stuff. Sonny and that lady at the wedding they're just playing.
Was that a real horse's head, Mom?
And that's what'll happen if you don't eat your dinner. That guy didn't eat his dinner. You see it get up and started yelling at that nice Tom Hagen.
Aww.
And then you get a horse in your head. Or a horse in your bed. A horse head in your bed. Sometimes you can get a horse in your head. Who knows? One way or the other, they're going to make you an offer you can't refuse.